Hello guys and welcome back to the channel, and this video is going to be a bit different. This is not part of my regular free video upload schedule. This is not part of generally what I do. I usually have loads of plans when I do a video, or at least I know what I'm going to say in some capacity, and I sit down and it's got to be good. There's a lot, I'm going to be honest, there is a lot of pressure regularly on YouTube. It's got to be good, but there is a place for that. But what I wanted to introduce to my channel is just discussions where I literally just sit down and discuss a movie entirely without any plans whatsoever. And I feel like the sort of movie that's good for is Yasujiro Ozu's Good Morning, or lots of Yasujiro Ozu's work. So this might turn out rambly. I honestly have no idea what I'm going to say. I mean, this is going to be the most raw and honest that I am on my channel, because on my channel it's usually about fun, it's usually about prepared content, you know. It's always comes from me, obviously, but I've always prepared what I'm going to say, or I know. This, all I've seen is the film, but I feel like this sort of film inspires these sorts of videos. This sort of filmmaker inspires these sorts of videos. This sort of filmmaker, Yasujiro Ozu, he comes from such a human place, that human place where sometimes the overthinking that we live with, the strategies that we live with, everything about that doesn't matter when it comes down to the present moment. And Yasujiro Ozu's films are so quiet, so calm, so measured, and so much like this, really. There isn't really they're very simple, you know. Obviously they're much better than my videos, we know this. I just mean that the genuinity of them, the rawness. And Yasujiro Ozu is one of the great filmmakers of all time. I would recommend, this is the sort of movie you should start with, Good Morning from 1959. Obviously he made Late Spring and Tokyo Story, which people know most of him, both masterpieces. My favourite film of his is An Autumn Afternoon, which I think is just a landmark achievement in cinema. Anyone interested in cinema should watch An Autumn Afternoon. I think it's just incredible. I genuinely do. And Yasujiro Ozu got such a style of, he makes the everyday appealing. He makes you notice the everyday. He makes you realise that, hang on, everyone's lives are all based on everyday interactions, all based on little things. And he makes you see the little things. His films are all about the little things. You know, and Good Morning is a comedy. Good Morning isn't a serious kind of film full of, you know, life-changing dramatic scenes, but even his dramas aren't full of life-changing dramatic scenes. You know, Yasujiro Ozu has a way of delivering these incredibly powerful messages, incredibly raw messages, in such a gentle style, in such a sweet style, a heartwarming style, a melancholy style. And again, I have no plans for this video, so if I start rambling, no matter what this is, I'm uploading it, no matter what. I want to really do more videos like this, where it's truly the genuine, raw honesty about movies from me to you, so we can connect on a level of film, you know. And if I can get people to kind of go and watch Yasujiro Ozu, get into Yasujiro Ozu, because he really does make you appreciate things in life that you perhaps took for granted. He's very much a gateway director into more quiet films, more slow films. And Good Morning is a comedy. It's basically about these families who live in this neighbourhood in Japan, and they're very small in proximity together, so they speak to each other all the time, the ladies, while the men go off to, very much a conventional family, the men go off to work and the ladies are at home. And the film is very much focused on the ladies' interactions but also there is some men in the film, of course. And all I've got prepared is the names of the actors. And I'm not going to try and differentiate them into which character's which, because obviously I'm not that well versed in Japanese names. But you've got Keiji Sada, Yoshiko Kuga, Chishu Ryo, who is in several of Ozu's films and is the actor I did recognise, an absolutely stunning actor. And Setsuko Hara is one I recognise, she's not in this, who is very much an Ozu regular. Haruko Sugimura, and that's pretty much the main characters. I'm not going to name them by name in the film because it will just get confusing, but basically it's basically a story about the futility of gossip. You know, basically some money goes missing and the mothers turn on another mother because she didn't deliver it, and she says that she delivered it. And it's very much puts in perspective how you can be in life and believe you know the facts when you could be entirely out of touch with reality. Very much a film about how people can easily go tribal on each other, and we know that from today's world. And it's very much how that can happen on a small level, how bullying can still happen outside of school, even when you're an adult. How judgment can really easily happen. And it's very much a film about not judging just because you look at someone's life or you look at an action and you think you know the answers. You probably don't, you know, and that's okay. You know, it's okay to not judge immediately because you end up looking silly at the end. And that's what it's about, the futility of gossip and how gossip can can fly off into its own. It can take on other kind of other things can be added to the list, you know, other accusations, and things spiral out of control when it comes to gossip. And I think that's the danger of gossip, and I think Ozu was trying to show us in this film that, you know, things can spiral out of control, so don't immediately think you have all the answers. Don't immediately single someone out. And there's some heartbreaking scenes in this where the lady who is accused of taking the money is talked to really badly by the other women because they've literally gone all snooty on her. They've turned on her because they believe she hasn't delivered the money to where she needs to, because they're all part of this kind of women's union. They all put money in and she delivers it. And it's heartbreaking. You know, Yasujiro Ozu very much a director keen to focus on actors' expressions, keen to show actors kind of not through much dialogue, but just through facial expressions, show the pain inside, show how much false judgment can hurt and how much judgment can hurt. And your heart really goes out to this lady, and she's having a terrible time anyway, because it's also a film about her children in the film. I know the names of the kids as well. The only character names I know of are Minoru and Ishimu, who are begging her for a TV set. And it's also a film about the westernisation of Japan, how the TV set has come in, and her kids regularly go over to another next door neighbours to watch TV, to watch wrestling on TV. And that family are happy to have them there, but their mother is very much of the opinion that she's very resistant to change. She doesn't. Her and her husband don't believe in television. They think it's gonna. There's a line in the film, breed a society of idiots. So very much when television was starting to come in, and you know, a lot of the film was about that disagreement between the mother and her kids about having a television. And it sounds so like that. Not much happens in Ozu's films ever, really. You know, it's more about watching characters in their everyday scenarios and going through things we can relate to. You know, watching these kids long for that television set in this film reminds me of when I was a kid, when I'd long for a games console, or I'd long for a wrestling event, you know, because I was a big wrestling fan, and they watch wrestling in this. Well, they watch sumo wrestling, but it reminded me of wrestling. So how you can kind of attach yourself to something as a kid and not understand why your parents won't give it to you. And it's about that disconnect between parents and children sometimes, how parents can be stern, how parents can be almost unreasonable, because it's never really there's no judgment Ozu ever puts on his characters. He never really says whether they're right for not letting their kids have a TV or whether they're not. He always takes an unbiased look. So every character in this film, no one's a bad person. Even the ones who are judging this lady, making her feel bad, you understand. Ozu's very good at helping you understand how people get into mindsets. And you don't come out hating anyone, you don't come out resenting anyone, you come out understanding where everyone was coming from, even in the bad places. And not many filmmakers can do that. Usually there are characters in films that you latch onto, that you hate, that you just can't help hating. But in Ozu's films, there's not many villains. There's not many people who you despise. Everyone's an everyday person going about their lives. So it feels so true to home. Everyone's stumbling. Everyone's falling down the tropes that we know. So you sympathise. You don't hate. And I think Ozu, one of the most understanding directors ever of humanity, he never hated. He sympathised. He had empathy for people he didn't understand. And Good Morning very much is a minor Ozu film, but I still think it's incredible. I gave it 5 stars on my Letterboxd. I will include Letterboxd, the link to my Letterboxd, in the comments, in the description. There's the non-edited stuff in the description if you want to see what I'm watching. I don't put everything I watch on there, but I do try to. And I gave it 5 stars on there, and every Ozu I see just completely and utterly crystallises. Even his minor films are just so much more powerful than a lot of today's films that throw so much at you, that pile on the emotion, that pile on the intensity. There's no great combinations ever in Ozu films. The combination is normally a conversation or people growing closer. In this we also have the young boy's English tutor who falls in love, but he doesn't admit it, with their aunt. And he thinks because he hasn't got any steady income at the time, he can't get her, he shouldn't go after her. And his mother tells him, well, no, you should, because you love her. And there's a wonderful line in this where he says, we usually as human beings, we find it so easy to talk about the formal things, but there are some things that really need saying that are so difficult. And I love that. It's so universal. It's just so believable. And there's a fantastic scene where he's standing with the lady he's interested in, the boy's aunt, and they just have this. There is a warm-hearted sense of attraction between them, but they're still kind of talking about the weather and talking about this and that. And it's almost like Ozu is saying that we as humans, we actually use these meaningless bits of conversation sometimes to say more, sometimes to under the surface mean more. Like when they're standing there, what a lovely day could mean. I'm happy to be here in this lovely day with you. It's just the way, the gentleness of the scenes, the subtlety of the scenes. And it's a very funny film. It is a comedy, but it also hit me very, very hard as a drama. But it is a comedy because the boys, Ishimaru and Monoru, because they're angry about not having a TV set, they decide they're not going to speak until they have a TV set. So they go about their lives not speaking, and they go to school not speaking. And there's some hilarious moments where they try and communicate, we need some dinner money, and they can't communicate it because they're not allowed to speak. It's just little stuff like that, and it reminds you of childhood. It reminds you of those little tantrums you could have. There's also a film about the happiness of childhood when you do realise why your parents were doing what they did for you, and it's just ultimately about family, the film. And I am going to stop there because I could go on for a long time, and hopefully I'm not rambling, but again, this is all off the cuff. And I'm going to do more videos like this, especially about films like this. This is not going to be my regular content. It's not part of my regular content. I do 3 videos a week which stay focused. this is going to be an additional video where I just feel like venting and connecting with you guys about a film. And I really recommend Good Morning. I think it's a fantastic film. So yeah, in the comments, I'm sure a lot of people haven't heard of Yasujiro Ozu. Lots of people have. But watch this film and let me know what you think of it in the comments, or just let me know if you're going to watch it, if it sounds great to you, if you liked this off the cuff type video. But thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you guys next time.